Okay, so our first question that we're going to debate is, should we as a society measure greatness by championships? My thesis statement is, greatness should be measured by championships based on the fact that it shows growth, strengths as a team, and
Greatness should be measured by championships based on the fact that it shows growth, strength as a team, and dominance in their sport.
We chose that greatness should not be measured by championships because then there would be no debate and we could just look at how many rings players had, and besides, greatness just isn't stats.
Take for example, when a team wins championships, they are noticed as the greatest team of the year in their sport. For example, take the Warriors. From ESPN, a Twitter post, they put Warriors' 317th win over the last 5 seasons, breaking their own record for the most wins in a 5-season span of NBA history. So I believe that this is a credible source because he is a part of SBN and they also do specialize in sports. So I think that just because they have the validation, and we've seen that Warriors have been known that they sucked like so much before I believe like 2015. Then they started winning their championship, and then we noticed how great they were, and now they're recognized as the most powerful and most dominant team in the NBA history right now. And they've also changed how the game is played. So yeah.
Okay, well, but a former player from Utah Jazz, John Stockton, was an inspiration, but also former player Jason Kidd. Even though Stockton wasn't the best all-time player, he was good enough for Kidd to follow because he said there wasn't a ring, but there was a mark of greatness in the making. So he wasn't the best player. He didn't have rings of any championships, but he inspired and helped his team grow.
Yeah, I agree with that. But when Michael Jordan, when he won his championship, he said that the greatest basketball player of all time has been quoted as saying, "Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships." And I believe that he basically just measured his greatness by championships with that quote, and I believe this represents growth as a team because he says that teamwork does help people win championships.
So I don't think greatness can be measured just by championships. Like taking the Bulls, for example, when that did happen, they weren't only recognized for their championships, but for what had happened through the season that changed the game of basketball. If championships are a measure of success, then why are guys like Peyton Manning and Brett Favre considered all-time greats when they only have one championship each? They only have one championship, yet everyone, or mostly everyone, who knows the sport knows all about them.
So, take for example when the Patriots, they won their 6th Super Bowl this year. Tom Brady, their quarterback, he's been with them for since 2000, and they basically, ESPN and NBC and all those news gurus and sports gurus, they've all based his greatness off of his championships because every time they went to the Super Bowl and he was playing, they won Super Bowls. So I believe that also shows dominance as well.
As greatness, when you're in a game and you win, obviously you're not the best, but you can be the best in someone else's opinion. So maybe you may say that there's opinions, so maybe you're the greatest, but you didn't get the award. But I'm saying that you get the award because you did your best, your own greatness. And
So let's say for like the Warriors, for instance, they've been doing very well the past 5 years. I don't know every player's name, but I'm sure there has been a couple players on that team that have been there the whole time. They don't play as much, and they have, say, just as many rings as Steph Curry. Does that make them the greatest, or Steph Curry the greatest?
I believe it makes them both the greatest, because even though like when Stephen Curry, when he was out for his MCL tear or whatever, or his sprain, they put in people from the bench who've been sitting there, and they won games with them. So I believe that it gives them both.
Okay, championships can kind of cloud our judgment on greatness. Just because someone has so many rings doesn't mean, they did everything, like I was saying. If all of the GOATs had just a bunch of rings, there would be no argument. Why even argue who the greatest is? Like, for instance, if we went off of that, we could say the best basketball player would be Bill Russell with 11 rings. The best football player would be Charles Haley with 5 rings. And the best baseball player would be Yogi Berra with 10 rings. Just because Bill Russell has 11 rings doesn't mean people consider him the greatest of all time. As soon as we talk about basketball, the basketball GOAT, most people say LeBron, Jordan, Bryant, and even Curry now. The point is that if all we did was look at stats, why do we even have to argue this? It would just be facts.
I agree with that, but debates are basically based on facts. That's how debates start. And I truly believe that championships, you are right that championships do cloud our judgment on seeing greatness, but greatness leads you to championships. And I feel like that's how we as a society look. We don't look at like, oh, when you are at the championships, you win the game. Like, no, we follow you throughout the whole thing, and we see that you win.
We're not saying like greatness of all time, but like if you're not great, then why would you get a championship? Like you obviously got a championship for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, I think greatness is like in the middle. Like at the bottom would be practicing and like I said before, how John Stockton was an inspiration for Jason Kidd, and that's like the base. In the middle goes to greatness, and that leads to championships. So I think it's all about how like an impact you make on the team to make it great, then gets to championships.